Welcome everybody to another episode
Hello.
of Spooked Coast to Coast. We got it right this time, gang. We're right on time.
Hello,
And
everyone.
so we
Uh,
have on that side of the US, we have Joy and Joey.
What is it with the voice, bro?
I don't
Like,
know, I
I don't
like
get
it.
why
It's
does
a
he do
good it's
that?
a good flow. I like it. The
Now.
complainer over here, Jenny of
That is
305
me.
Paranormal and
I'm the bitcher.
and I just go by Mondo. So, Joy, we
yes,
have
sir.
a pretty cool guest on our show
We
today.
do.
Tell us a little
We
bit about him.
we have a friend of mine. His name is Michael. He is
Mhm.
a known psychic medium in the Los Angeles area. So I'm excited to bring him on. He'll tell you and introduce you. Well, he'll introduce himself and tell you all about his stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to bring him on. I was not prepared for my speech.
Wait.
So yeah,
Well, you want to bring it on?
yeah, let's bring him on.
Ready?
Let's
One,
do
Let's
it.
do it.
2, 3.
Here we go.
Hey, there he
Hi.
is.
Hi. Can
How's
I
it
go
going,
now?
Mike?
Yes, you're here.
Not
Now.
We didn't scare you off
We have
already.
unleashed you to the
Take more than that to
fans.
scare me. So,
So
How
yeah,
are
anyway,
you doing tonight?
my name is Michael Hanna. I am locally a psychic here in California, I guess I should say, because I kind of travel everywhere doing what I do. I kind of have almost like a no boundaries type of situation with where I read. Although I do have limits like San Francisco, and I don't go out of the country at this point. But yeah, I pretty much read all over Southern California. So, but would you like to ask me a question, or do you want me to just tell you about myself?
let's go. If you're comfortable, tell us about yourself. I am not
I'm
prepared.
comfortable with
Thought I
me.
was, but I'm
How
not.
did it start? Tell us
I-
the beginning of my
Yeah.
Hannah.
Quickly. I started when I was about 7 years old. It wasn't something I did purposely. We were pretty much in the cemetery with my parents. One of our relatives had passed away, and we were at the funeral. And I was pointing to all the people in the cemetery, saying, "Oh, he really knew a lot of people. Look at all." And my aunt goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, and I started pointing, and she said, "Oh no, there's only like 3 of us here." And I said, "What?" And she explained to me what I was looking at, what she thought was spirits, because she was gifted as well. So I was like, no, I don't have anything to do with that, because it's scary at 7 years old. I didn't want to have anything to do with that. So I kind of pushed it out of my life for about 7 or 8 more years. It kept coming back, but I kept pushing it away. And I finally kind of embraced it when I was probably about 14 or 15. I think a lot of young teenagers kind of do that. They're curious, and they kind of want to get involved. So I kind of got involved. It wasn't Ouija board, because I am a Ouija board, but they I just kind of embraced it a little more, kind of asked a lot of questions. And my first ability was being an empath, which of course is not my favorite, because that's picking up obviously other people's energies, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not so good. And then it went to clear audio. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Clear audio.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I say that, people are like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm not going to get into a big lesson on that. It's just there's lots of clairs. The clear audio, clairvoyance. You guys have heard some of these words. But clear audio for me is not somebody speaking through your ears, but almost like hearing something, and then it projects itself in front of you. So you're able to visualize something that you're being kind of almost told. So if somebody says there's a red car, all of a sudden you visualize a red car. And if you're reading for somebody, you ask them, "Do you have a red car? Or do you know somebody with a red car?" And it goes on and on. And as years have gone by, my abilities have just gotten stronger and stronger. Different ones are coming to me because I've practiced a lot. And so practicing with friends, talking to friends through the years, because I've been doing this for over 55 years now.
Wow.
I'm not, like I said, I've probably got socks older than all of you, but anyways, yeah, so I've been doing this a long time. I've got a billion stories. I've done a lot of investigations. Through the years, I've made contacts with people that are helping police departments, FBI, with missing persons cases. I find that cold cases work the best for me, because I don't want to be accused of knowing something that I shouldn't be knowing. I've had a few friends that like, "How do you know that information was never released?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I better not do that." So I basically went to more cold cases, and that way it's a little easier for me. Worked on quite a few over the last year, about 7, of which 3 were solved, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
And not everybody's passed away. Sometimes we get lucky, but generally it's mostly people that have passed away. But it gives the family closure. So that's kind of, so the police cases and the readings that I do, the actual tarot readings that I do, channeling and reading, and then also what is it? Investigations. A lot of houses have activity, and we go like what you guys do, pretty much go in and do the check the area out. I don't use any equipment. Like I don't use the EVPs and the whatever, the REM pods. I think they're wonderful. I think they're a lot of fun, but you know, for me, it's like I'm almost like drawing in the energy or drawing in the spirits, and then they can ask questions. Once they're there with the equipment that they have, they can ask the questions. I just get them there. So I'm kind of like
you are the equipment. You're
the spiritual.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so they come and they basically come in. We can ask them all kinds of questions. But for me, one of my biggest things, and I know I'm talking way too long, but
no,
You're good.
one of the things that really,
You're absolutely fine.
oh, thank you. One of the things that I really emphasize, and I'm mentioning this to all the investigators out there, it's not, I don't want to sit there and show off and go, oh, look what I can do. Because the idea or the purpose of me being there, whether it's a reading or whether it's an investigation, I'm there for a purpose, and that is either to cross over spirits that want to leave, or help people find their family or loved ones, or give them messages of closure and peace and love and light and all that other hippie type stuff. But generally, there's a purpose. I don't do this just because it's showing off. For me, it's a gift and it's a blessing, and so I want to use it to help other people. Right. So that's pretty much what I do. A lot more than what I'm telling you. I just can't remember it all because I'm on the air right now. But
don't you hate that?
Yeah, I even did notes. But I just have a lot of stories from all the investigations I've done, and even signed waivers where I'm not allowed to speak about some of them because they were private, you know, type stuff and whatever. But I have many of things to tell you as we go along. Hopefully, you guys have questions for me. I've been bitten, pushed, just I had my hair pulled, what little hair I have, pulled my hair, you know, and different things like that. So physically touched, yes. Yeah, I know I got my dinosaur rock haircut going here. But anyway, so yeah, and I've got a lot of stories. I've worked with some of the people you guys know, and I've worked with people you guys don't know. I've worked with other psychics at the same time. A lot of times people ask me, are you the only psychic on an investigation or medium, whatever you want to call me? But psychic medium, if you're not familiar, they are 2 different things. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Psychics basically pick up the energy around them, and mediums cross over and bring energy through. So there's a lot of little nuances.
I did not know that. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Clairsentient is being a psychic. It's picking up the energy in the surrounding area. They don't cross over. But most psychics I know do the transition and become mediums because it's kind of almost goes with the territory. So it just kind of goes with it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I studied. I do a lot of research. Another thing I wanted to mention to you guys, and are you guys investigators as well? Because I'm not real familiar with what everybody does.
Yes.
Yeah. So the reason I asked that question is because do you guys usually bring a medium or a sensitive with you when you do your investigations?
Not all the time, depending if they're available or not. But
okay. What about you?
I'm practicing that myself. I try whatever.
Right. So when you go into, I'm asking you guys the questions. Who's doing the interviewing here?
No, that's fine. It's good.
I'm only asking because I'm not familiar with all this ghost hunter, paranormal investigator type stuff. It's very recent that it's become very public. I've always done things privately on my own through the years because 25 or 30 years ago, nobody even heard of this, except they've heard of ghosts. But they've never heard of it. So this is all fairly new. And so people starting out, I want them to understand a few things. One of the things is be respectful when you go into a home. That's something I think should be very emphasized because you're on somebody's private property, whether there's people living there or not. You know, don't try not to do any damage type situation. You know, there's certain areas that we've not been allowed to go in, and I've been very blessed with the investigators I've been with to get permission for us to go into places that nobody else can go, which has been wonderful. You guys know some of those people I know. I didn't know how many names you want me to mention or name drop, you know. But yeah, so that kind of, so be respectful. And I know you guys probably know this already, but, and I just wanted to ask you about using sensitives during your readings. I mean, during your investigations, because I find that it's really helpful to know where you're pointing your equipment, as opposed to just kind of
Definitely.
randomly pointing it around.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I've got more to talk about. I'm not really sure what you guys want to ask me, but please go right ahead because I can blab on for like 7 hours.
I love it. It's better that you blab than us just staring at each other. So that's great.
I think one of the biggest questions that I get is, do you ever run out of energy? Or like when you're doing a reading, doesn't it drain you when you're doing 10 people in a room? Because I do multiple readings and I do individual, like a forum type reading, and I do individual readings. And people ask me, do you run out of energy? It's like, not really. It's because I don't draw from the people in the room. I draw from the area around me. So it's almost like using the Force from Star Wars. It's kind of like I'm using the Force. So I draw the energy from the earth, trees, nature. I'm very connected with Native American and Celtic type energies. So for me, it's like that's where I pull from. I get my comfort from those areas. Trees, like, yes, I am a tree hugger type person. But I'm really super connected with nature. I find it to be like the ultimate energy boost,
I love it. I love it.
During the reading, though, I do have an issue with grounding because first of all, I don't eat before reading. I'm just letting you know. And the reason why is because all that energy going through me, whether it's spirits speaking through me, I don't get possessed, believe me. I won't let them. But I'll beat anyways. Yeah, with that energy going through me, whether it's an actual spirit or just pure energy, it's nauseating. And so that's another thing I learned through the years, not to eat beforehand. And I had to learn that the hard way, of course, because many trips to, anyways. So I try not to eat anything or drink anything during a reading. It just helps me a lot. So a lot of energy flows through you when you're doing a reading properly, if you're a medium. And so at that time, I use the energies around me to kind of boost me as I go. But have you guys ever had a shiver go through your body, obviously?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
when I'm doing a reading, if I'm reading for 2 hours, it's nonstop. Okay.
Wow.
And if an actual spirit comes through, like if it's not just pure energy, if an actual spirit comes through to speak to the person, the loved one in front of me, or the person's family member, I get that my whole body goes completely cold. I know they're there because I can feel it. It's just fully cold. And it's very interesting, and it doesn't scare me because I'm super well protected. I learned that as a child from my aunt or my aunt, who was the one who I know, right? Who was in the cemetery with me. I learned that I need to refer to as bubble up. You bubble up. Some of my psychic friends, we use that term a lot. You bubble up because basically you got to protect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, and I know you guys know this, but unfortunately, there are things out there that are not great, and they don't have your best interest in mind, and so you got to protect yourself. But I think because I'm so comfortable, obviously I'm talking to you, but because I'm so comfortable with my ability and my protection, which this is my choice, it's my thing. I believe in angels, so for me, I use angels. But because those angels are around me, I feel like I can walk into a situation without worrying about something taking over me, spitting up pea soup and all that wonderful stuff. So
pea soup, like The Exorcist. God,
so I don't feel like I'm complete. I mean, don't get me wrong. This can happen to anybody. Anything negative can happen to you. But at this point right now, I've been blessed as to be able to speak to people without dealing with negative energy. I'm completely a light worker, even though I look like I'm not. I'm a complete light worker. Yeah, I know I'm like rambling here. But this is what I do. And so I use any source or any means that I can to protect myself. So,
my daughter is Nebe. I don't know if you can see the comment in the screen. It says,
yes,
she just got into tarot cards. Can you give her some advice on connecting with nature's energy? She gets so tired after a few readings.
Reading cards is a real trip. I started when I was really young, and it depends on what you want to do. There's many facets to cards. Like you can do numerology and astrology, and that can be mixed in with your cards. I find that to be a little overwhelming for me. It was when I was younger, and so I stopped. I went strictly to the meanings of the cards. And how I did it, the easiest way I found to read cards or to learn is break down each suit, just like you do with a regular deck of cards. So if you're looking at hearts or cups, you do all the cups, you learn them, and then you do a reading with just cups. And then you do a reading with just staves or staffs. And then you do a reading with just whatever, pentacles. then you can mix them all together. And once you know all the meanings, it's a little easier to do a read. Because if you're trying to read the whole deck, it's overwhelming. And then most people I know, they start and then like a month later, they're not doing it anymore.
How would you say you tap into nature though? Like, what do you think about it? Do you kind of just meditate and put yourself there?
It's kind of hard because when you think about being like an empath or being connected with things, I think it's because you feel the energy coming from that, almost like people feel with crystals, you know, like when they feel energies from crystals. It's kind of like that with a tree. I can almost feel like a vibration or and I kind of just let myself kind of relax and go into it. I can't meditate. I'm going to tell you right now, because I feel like there's a million people watching me. Okay. So I just don't meditate.
They're all dead.
It's like when I do a reading, to give you an example, if I was doing a reading for you, there'd be like people standing in line with numbers. You know, it's like, take a number. That's the way it is when I meditate. I have such a hard time. So I don't. I just relax and kind of just open my mind and let it go. It's almost, are you guys familiar with astral projection?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm familiar with and what you're not. If you're familiar with astral projection, it's almost like being awake astral projecting. So you throw it out into the universe and let it come back to you. And as it comes back, you're given little, I call them emojis. I get little signs. And so for me, all those, if I'm doing a reading for somebody, I get like a million emojis funneled into that person. Nothing on the outside is allowed to come in. I don't allow outside sources to come in. So if I was reading for you, it would be just your reading, your family, your friends, your past history. So any emoji or any symbol that I get in there or any sign, I can look at it and go, what is this? And you can let me know, because I know kind of what I'm looking at and I can give you a clue, but I want to know what this means because I'm being thrown a lot of information all at one time. And so I've had to learn to interpret all this information. So I know I'm blabbing on and on because nobody else is talking but me, but
no.
when say like when I try to practice, that's one thing I've told Armando. It's just like I'll get like symbols and you know, maybe one thing like a balloon will mean like birthday or like, but then I gotta figure out like, is it their birthday or maybe they passed on that birthday or around that date, you know, like you have to figure out what the sign means, you know. That's
what it is. One of the things I do though is I tell the people I'm reading for not to give me information. Like, don't give me too much information. I don't mind some. If I'm asking you a question, like there's a person coming through and her name is, you know, Mary, don't tell me who Mary is, like give me her whole history. I just want to know if that's true. Mary's the person that you know, because a lot of times people will say, no, I don't know. And then I'll go, okay. And I go off in another direction because their mind is thinking too hard. Because I'll ask them, I'll say, do you have a red candle in your house? And they're like, no, we have one on our fireplace. And I'll look at them, I'm like, isn't that in your house? You know, so they're thinking too hard. They're thinking too hard. So I just tell them, open their mind, you know, and they take notes or they record me while I'm reading because that way they can go back over it. Because obviously, as you can tell, I speak a million miles a minute. There's a person that asked a question. I don't know who this is. David?
David,
yeah, I told him to write it.
I did something. I did it right.
Anyway. There he goes. Can you talk about his first contact with spirit?
Yes. To answer your question, it was very unusual. Like I said, I saw actual people. I saw actual spirits at that time, and I'll explain this to you. At that time, I actually physically saw people. They were more or less opaque or see-through, not like real clear. It's like looking through clear jello. You can see images, but you can't really tell the detail. So at 7 years old, I saw people walking around the cemetery, and that's when I asked, and I was given that answer. The one thing that it did for me is, and this is why I became clairaudio, I believe, it scared me so badly that I didn't want to ever see another spirit again in my life. And so I didn't receive those kind of messages anymore. It became clairaudio. I was given information through my ear, and it visualized itself in front of me. I didn't want a manifestation like a spirit in front of me. It's different now because through the years I've learned what I'm dealing with. But at that time I didn't know how to receive it. It's hard for me when I go back to try and tell my history because I kind of just go with it. You know, it's just kind of like it was there and I just kind of went with it. And I know a lot of people that are curious about what did it say? I think too hard when I'm chatting with Michael. I know this person really well. I've done
hello.
I've done readings for her and all her sisters and everybody, and they're
welcome.
just and all their cousins and their horses cousins and whatever. But
Horses cousins.
I've done tons of readings for her. She's an absolutely wonderful lady. Anyways, the ability. It's kind of hard to describe the ability. Like, how do you describe an ability that's there? It's kind of like somebody who is a really good pianist because it's natural. They can play the piano without an issue. And then somebody who has to try really hard. The person who sits down that just plays just does it. It's kind of hard to describe. But if you have a gift and it's strong enough, you just do it. If it's something you have to work at it, like a lot of tarot readers that are just starting out and stuff like that, it's just, I think, just opening your mind and keeping open and receive signals. I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about if you guys really want to know. See, I already made somebody disappear, that person right next to her. So I do professional magic actually as well. And so that was kind of a nice thing for me to see somebody disappear in front of me. What I used to do is I'd say to people, think of a number between 1 and 10. And they'd sit there and they'd say, okay, the number's 2. I'd say, oh, the number's 2, the number's 2. And I look at them and I go, your number's 5. They go, no, my number's 2. And I go, damn it, I knew it was 2. Why didn't I say that? I think it's that intuition or that first thought is what you got to go with. Because I've found that usually almost 90% of the time it's right. It's not an exact science. Obviously, we know that. But for me, it's more like, just go with the flow. And usually it's unbelievable how many times I've been right, just going with what I was told in my head. So when I'm doing a reading and I've got a pad of paper and I'm writing down numbers next to a person's name, it's usually something significant to that person. The day they died, their birthday, how old they were, how many children they have, that kind of thing. And that's how my readings work. So I know I'm on track. If I'm not on track, I go in a different direction. So it's kind of all hit and miss and that kind of thing. So when you're reading or when you're being connected with spirit, I just want you guys to know, just kind of listen, which is obviously not easy for me because I'm always talking, but listen and you'll hear things, Yeah. So I know I'm kind of kooky, but anyways, that's my suggestion is when I was younger, I kind of was just not open to it. And once I became open to it, things started to flow much easier for me.
I had a question before we brought you on when we were on the backstage or before the live came on.
Yes.
You were saying something about like tips or whatever. Can you mention what you were going to say? Do you remember?
Well, one of them was one of the tips that I do recommend to people, like I said, is go with the flow or listen and go with your first thought, because that intuition that I'm referring to is very important. The other thing is, like you had mentioned, being an empath. One of the tips I would definitely recommend is, I know so many people out there that's how they start. They feel like they feel other people's feelings. And I would definitely recommend learning how to protect yourself. That's the number one thing, whether you're being an empath, being an investigator, always protect yourself. It's really important to create that bubble around you, that white light or whatever you want to use. Look into that, read into that, do the research, because protection is so important when you're going out into this field, because you're in an area that you can't see what's there. And yes, sometimes what you can't see can hurt you.
Right.
So what would you recommend that somebody carry with them, like something basic that they can carry that would protect them?
Yeah, I was going to ask a good question.
I have a lot of.
You read my mind.
It depends. If I'm going into can I see anything on you right now? Well, clothing, of course, but hang on one second.
Thank God.
Maybe I'm. Yes. There's the usual suspects like sage and holy water and a cross, whatever you believe in. Like, if you're a Christian like I am, I'm not preaching. It's just if you're that kind of a person that comes from my background, a cross is something we do. Holy water, definitely. Sage is something. Oh, thanks. I knew it. I see, I knew it.
Take a picture. No.
Oh, you didn't know it was this kind of show, did you guys? So anyways, it's the usual things that you usually bring. Do you guys usually have something specific that you do?
We honestly don't. We just kind of mentally shut it off when we leave a location.
Yeah.
We don't think about it.
When I'm reading, when I leave, they leave. Meaning I don't leave spirits in people's homes. It's like that's
Okay.
one of the biggest problems. And I'm going to say this to you also about people that use the Ouija board or spirit boards. And this is a must. And I know you've heard this before, but when you stop using it, that particular moment, you close out the board. You close the board and dismiss the spirits. It's so important to do that because so many of the young people don't do that and they walk away and you're just leaving a door open. If you believe in it. Okay.
So when
There's a
you
lot of
say
people
close
that
the
don't
door,
believe
you mean,
or
you
whatever.
know, when you say close the door, you mean
You
say
close-
goodbye and
You
Close
say
that session.
goodbye. Yes, you say goodbye. You dismiss the spirits. Thank you for coming through. You know, whatever. All the stuff I'm telling you, there's so much detail, and you can look it up in any of the books or journals, even online. There's so much information online now how to do things. So I would definitely recommend the spiriting, the protection during that time.
I say that because, if there's any kids that watch this at Tablet, and I want them to be clear on how to close it,
they're messing with something, and I'm going to let you know, you're messing with something that is not a joke. It literally it does exist for me. And I'm letting you know that you can cause yourself a lot of grief. I've had lots of people with bad luck afterwards and that kind of thing. I just had somebody come through that said they don't protect themselves because they want to absorb that. That is up to you as an individual. I personally know people that have gone into situations that even felt protected and they were sick for over 6 months. They got an attachment. If you guys are not familiar with that, spirits can attach themselves to you in many ways and create a lot of havoc, create a lot of mischief. They not only follow you, they create negativity. You don't want that. Sickness is part of that as well. Honestly, I do not suggest staying that open. When you're open to receive spirits to talk to them, that is a different type of open than somebody who's opening up their body and saying, take me over. Okay? There's a big difference between somebody who's saying, possess me versus somebody saying, can I ask you a question to the spirit and say, why did you come through today? What do you need? Because they need what we do,
Right. So since we're on that topic, can I stop you for a second? Since we're on that topic,
please interrupt me.
How do we know it's not just bad luck and not something?
You don't. I always tell people, it's like, if you have an activity in your home and you're seeing things that I think are really questionable, why would you take a chance? It's like, it's like, if you think it's bad luck, then just get a horseshoe, or something. But, but if, when I feel like negativity is coming in and I can sense it, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be sappy or anything, but generally I create a positive cycle. I do something that I find positive. I take a nature walk. I go to the store and get an ice cream, whatever it takes to create that positive cycle, to get that away from me, to ignore it, almost like what you're saying. That pushes it away. If you do that often enough, it kind of almost gets tired of trying to get you and leaves you alone.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But for people that want to absorb that negativity or absorb that that spirit or whatever it is, to each his own. It's just not my thing. You know?
Yeah.
Not my thing
You'll
at all.
learn that way.
So,
basically.
you'll learn the hard way. If it's I choose to believe. Now, let me explain to you something also. And I know you have other questions, Jen, as far as, me mentioning tips. I'll get back to that in a minute. I don't forget things. I just keep going on. But what I was going to say to you is there's, I lost my train of thought, so I'll go back to what I was saying to you. There's lots of tips on things. One of the things I would recommend as investigators, if there's a lot of them out there listening right now, you should always have, and I'm sure you do, but always have a research or history person with you. I've done readings and I couldn't figure out what I was looking at. I was in a hotel and I was moving around the rooms and I laid in one of the beds and all of a sudden I saw all these people laying in the beds and they were all wet. And I said, what the heck is this? And I said, why? And there was a historian with us. You guys know who he is. And he said, do you want me to tell you what this is? And I said, yes. He said, well, in 1923, a dam burst and all that water came down and drowned a tremendous amount of people. And those people's bodies were brought where you are right now and laid out in the rooms. And so what I was seeing was a bunch of dead bodies that were completely soaking wet. But I didn't understand what I was looking at. So my point is, always try to have somebody with you that kind of knows the place you're going into, has some history, because it really does make it a lot more interesting to know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys do that. Do you bring somebody with you that knows the area pretty well, or?
Well, I try to, as for me, I try to read about it before I go.
Yeah.
The question is, do I remember when I get there? No, but I try to.
That's not good.
That's not good.
especially if they have a knife, you know. So what are we
Definitely
looking
need a notepad.
Yeah.
Like
So anyways,
we went to, like, I'm gonna give you an example. Like we went to a place called May Stringer House, and me and another teammate of ours, we went in there separately, like a cold read, and he went in there, he took his like notes. I went in there, I took my own notes, and the what do you call it? They call it dojo. Like the person that one of the caretaker volunteers of the house.
𝗍𝗪.
𝗍𝗪,
Yeah. So they walked around with me, so they didn't say anything.
Oh.
I was just talking to her, and she was just listening to me like ramble on. I was like this, and that. She was like, "Mm-hmm. You want to go to the next room?" And I was like, "I guess I'm doing really bad at this." So I was like, "Yeah, let's go." But she was like, "You did this, you hit this, you hit this," and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." But you know, I don't try to look up anything prior to him. But there's always either like a volunteer there, and I'll ask after, "Hey, do you know like this name came up, or like, you know, what is this?"
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, yeah." You know,
No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to know ahead of time, because if I know too much, they're saying, "Well, you already knew that." You know, it's like you're not telling. We're not telling you. So I would say 99% of the readings or the investigations I've ever done, I knew nothing about where I was going. So when things came through to me and I gave names and dates and whatever, it made it so much more valid, because I have no idea what was going on. And that's the kind of places I like to go into.
Look, you made Joy disappear now.
I'm
What's going on here?
so amazing. So look, I made him reappear, so that's kind of cool.
I know.
So, must have said something interesting. Maybe it was the comment earlier. I don't know.
I think it's good. I think it's good for like people that do have abilities not to know anything, but people for like me that don't have nothing. It's good for us because we can ask the questions, and you know,
it's exactly
relating to that. Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm talking about. I need people with me that are just like, they're great with the equipment. They're curious. They're excited. You know, and then they kind of bring me in. Like I said, it's like I'm the Ren pod. You know, I'm the Ouija. You know, so I play my part. I do my, you know, for my purpose, but I need you guys as well. It's not just about me, you know, because if I just wanted to do that, I would just go do readings, you know. I like the investigating. It's very interesting to me. And I've had many instances where we've crossed over spirits, children, things like that were frightened to move. And it's been so rewarding being able to cross people over and that kind of thing, you know, like as far as making contact and then crossing them over. It's just important. Sometimes they get stuck, they don't know where to go, and they hang with the other ghosts, so to speak, because they're comfortable. So
what place was your favorite to investigate? Like, what was your all-time, like, that you remember most memorable, I guess? Maybe.
Let me take a look here, because I got a whole bunch, but I did write a few down. We did one up in, I don't know if I'm familiar. Well, you're in Florida, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we did some local stuff, but some of them, I did one in a place in Santa Paula called the Glen Tavern, which is very celebrated. It's been used on TV a billion times. I had some great stuff show up there. That's where the bodies that I told you were wet. That was one of the places we went. In that same hotel that night, I probably had at least 6 or 7 encounters with different levels of history. So it's not just one level, because the hotel's been there like 100 years. So it's different levels. There's a closet I went into. They're like, "Go in the closet." I go, "Oh my God, please don't say that." But and I went in and like, I was looking and I'm like, I go, "Why would they tell me to go in the closet?" And so I'm sitting in this closet and I see like an apparition of a woman's body, but it's only like her neck and her waist. I couldn't see anything else, but I knew she was reaching for me. And so I didn't know what this was. And so I asked once again, "What am I looking at?" And they're like, "She was a prostitute who was killed in that closet. They took her head and they took her fingers." So I wasn't seeing anything except the torso, but I couldn't understand why I only saw her torso. But I knew it was a woman, obviously, and I knew she was reaching for me because her hands were kind of half hands, you know? And
I want to stay in that room.
Yeah, well, they did. I didn't. I'm a little smarter than that, but anyways, I was looking down the hallway. Do you remember the movie The Shining?
Yeah.
Of course.
Do you remember the hallway with the twins?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what it kind of reminded me of, because of the red wallpaper and all that. And I walk in, I'm like, "Oh hell no!" So I at the end of the hallway, and I'm feeling this dog pulling on my pant leg, and come to find out it was a famous movie dog. And I did some research, because a good friend of my family's, my dad was a Western stuntman. And so I did some research with a friend of ours who knew that dog and asked questions, and she confirmed it with me that that dog had passed away in that hotel. So I was very, very impressed with the fact that this animal came through at that time. That was one of my favorites because it had a lot of activity, but there's been many. I've been bitten. Like I said, I came home one day and I had bite marks on my arm, and I was like, oh, no way. When spirit does anything to me that I feel is negative, like pushing me, pulling my hair, a bite mark, I go off. Okay. I go kind of like ballistic. Spiritually, it's like throwing fireballs. It's like, stay away. I give spirit so much of my time. When I come home, it's my home life is my home life. They do not come into my house because I feel like once I step outside my house, I'm basically theirs, so to speak. I do my job. I'm with them, doing my job all day, and then I come home and that's my time,
Well,
So-
I have a question about that.
Sure.
What do you say like when you're going to sleep? A lot of
Yeah.
you know how spirits like to like come and bother you while you're sleeping
Not-
or in that
go ahead.
time. What would you say is a good thing to maybe say, or like how to maybe turn that little switch off at that time?
I
Like
get the impression from you especially that you're having this issue.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't see it as an issue, but
I'm totally psychic. I figured that out. What was I know I'm terrible. Because I'm so steeped in my background with spirituality, with what I consider God, I'm so protected. I don't have that issue. I just fall asleep. It's kind of like I pass out. I don't even sleep. I just pass out. For me, I think they've tried in the past, but I think because the barriers have been set, I don't allow any of that. And when I use the word allow, I mean literally allow. I don't allow them into my life because, like I said, I think I give them enough of my time. But if you feel there's something coming in that regard, this is where the pushing away or the bubbling thing comes up, where they're there, but they can't come through, and you're very comfortable. And the more comfortable and peaceful you are, the less they bother you because you're protected. So my suggestion to anybody that's feeling like something's coming to them at night or coming to visit is to learn to protect yourself. I don't care what the means are. Look online. Everybody has their own way of doing it, just like every psychic is different. My opinion in being the psychic I am versus others, we have the same, we're on the same page, but we think we talk and we receive messages differently. So all of us are different, even though we're the same. We're kindred spirits, but we're not. We receive those emojis. Each one of them works with our brain only. So what I see is not what other people see, but it's the same thing. If you get what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I think that with the protection thing, I think it's an individual thing. You need to look it up and see what would work for you, because what works for you doesn't work for others.
That's true.
I've also
I mean,
heard that you.
I've done my thing. Sorry, but
You talk too much.
me?
I'm teasing.
We both do.
Hey, you said it, not me.
I think I've said it.
I don't think I have like a thing, but I just feel like maybe they're trying to, how you goes, like make that come on. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, like say something happened the other night, and I was like, hey, not at this time. I'm going to bed. And then when I tell you like everything like stopped, and I was like, fine. I was like, thank you, goodbye.
Okay.
So I feel like the more
like when people say they have a house that's got activity, and you've heard on TV or whatever, the psychic telling them to take control and yell at yell like, this is not your home, this is my home, get out, that kind of thing. You just gave me an example of what you did, and it worked. Okay. That works for you. It works for a lot of people, but some people they just can't do it emotionally. They're broken, and so they can't get that strength to do what you did. And that's where I really feel that they need to figure out how they're going to get the strength first to create that bubble, to create that protection. For me, like I said, I have a very spiritual background, so for me it's a little bit different. But there's a lot of people out there that don't, and they don't believe the way I believe, and so they've got to find something to believe in that can help them. Some people have guardians, some people have God, some people have, you know, gods, you know, but you got to find something that's going to help you, guides, you know, to protect you, because like I said, sometimes we ask for this. We're in the field because we walk into that field. These people are subjected to this, and they don't even want a part of it. They're not asking for this. It just comes to them, you know, and it's kind of
watching. Yeah, I was watching some psychic, and she said people that have your what you were saying, Jen. She said that it's like you have to picture a door and you closing it in your mind.
Yeah,
you know
see, this is the kind of stuff I'm referring to when I say bubble up.
Yeah, bubble. Yeah,
you find what works for you. Doors closing. I have friends that use their hands around a mirror, and you know they close the mirror, they close the board, the spirit board. It's whatever works for you. You have to find out. I know that sounds terrible, but it's I can't tell somebody else what to do if it doesn't. If when I tell them, and they'll say, "Well, that didn't work for me." It's like, yes, it didn't work for you because that's mine. You know, you have to find what for you. So closing the door is a great one. Closing the window is a great one. You know,
you gotta go.
To her body, she sucks it in and throws it into hell or wherever it's going to go. Okay, there's different ways of doing it. You know, so.
There's a question here.
Oh, what's this one? Oh, stuck on walls. Interesting.
Well, let's talk to a medium that sees spirits. She said the spirit.
Heard of that. Stuck on walls.
I can imagine it.
For me, I don't know. For me, that's like weird. I mean, for me to say weird is weird. I find
walls
more floating, like cliche, you know, kind of just floating around, and they come up to my table while I'm reading, and you know, tell her I'm here, and I'm like, no, she's going to think I'm crazy. You know, tell her I'm here, and I'll say, okay, there's a man standing there. So I see them coming through like we know them to be, but they're not. For me, in my mind's eye, I guess I see them as people. I think that's the way I want to see them, not always opaque or clear. Most of the time, they're just kind of there. I know they're there. So I've never seen them stuck on walls. That's very interesting. But like I said a few minutes ago, every psychic is different. Every medium is different. So they create things or have things work for them in a different way than I am. The way
in your opinion, does it mean different things as you see them? Like if they're clear, does that mean they're...
Oh yeah. I have people that passed away that took their own lives, for example. I hate that one because that's one of my worst things. But it's almost like I try to do kind of colorful metaphors. It's almost like a ball of mud. And when they're on the other side, they pass away. And then when they're on the other side, it's like this stuff starts to fall off of them, almost like an orange being peeled. And all that regret and all that negativity that was part of them in life kind of disappears. And they become more pure individuals, not angels, but pure individuals. So they're able to move on. It's almost like a way station or a purgatory or a what do you want to call it? A debriefing area, whatever you want to call it. It's to get rid of a lot of our earthly ideas, because I always tell people, remember, grieving is for the living, not for the dead. They actually leave that behind and they move wherever they're going to go. And so I just feel like it's their chance. When I bring them back through, it's their chance for regret. I'm sorry I did this. I really wish this would have happened. I heard what you said. Whatever it is that the message they bring to me to give to their loved ones is what I try to convey. But generally, you know, I've never seen them stuck on the wall, but that's kind of a new one for me. But, you know.
It's funny that he said that because my husband had woken up from the dead sleep was seeing something on the wall. So it just brought a flashback.
That's
saw it.
But it was crawling. It woke me up. Like I saw it and it was crawling.
Oh, really?
And it
disappeared. Hell no.
I know. That's what I said.
That's when the raid comes out, you know.
The holy water.
yeah, lots of it, you know. David,
we have a question from David.
Second, because he's asking me what cold cases I've worked on. I can't disclose the exact cases because I'm not really allowed to. But most of the time, this is how it works for me. Do you guys mind if I do this?
No.
Of course.
I don't know. Yeah.
This is how it works for me. Remember, in my opinion, this is how it works for me. When I'm basically connected to a cold case, I get the information from the person about what the person's name is, where they were last seen, if they have any ideas of what's going on. And then I kind of just opened myself up, and like I told you, it's almost like astral projecting. All of a sudden, I get visions, and it's almost like we get people with daydream, like what do they call those? Prophetic dreams while they're sleeping. I get them while I'm awake. So, so basically, what happens is I travel until I get to the person who's passed away or whatever, and then this is the scary part, kinda. I see through the eyes of the person who's being violated, so to speak.
Yes.
So if I'm looking at the person who's more or less doing something criminal or sinister to me, I can see their faces. And so one of the cases I worked on was pretty much out of a movie, but I can see him trying to bury me after he's killed me, but I can see his face, and he's wearing one of those clear masks. So I could see his eyes, but he's wearing those clear masks that's got the smile on it, the permanent smile, kind of like a politician, you know. And anyways, so I'm looking at this, and so I can see them. And then what I start to do is look around me to describe the area that I'm in, so that I can give the police or whoever the authorities are in that area a description of where I'm at. And that way they can go out there, because I've had people immediately say to me, I know where that is. And they go out and they find these people. So they've found bodies doing that. And I have multiple friends that are psychics and mediums that actually do the same thing. I belong to a couple of actual groups that they're all psychics, and this is what they do. They're missing person case psychics. So when you go there and you say, this is our information, the group of psychics actually get together and they give. You remember when you were talking about two different descriptions from two different people? You wrote something down, they wrote something down. That's kind of like what we do. We all write everything down, and then we compare notes to see how much of it's similar, because the things that are more similar are the facts more than the stuff that's just kind of random. So it's kind of a process, but it works really good. It works really good. So cold cases, usually it's people that they've given up. Obviously, you know that. And I kind of go in there and just kind of describe the area. I had one recently in a field. We found the body, but then I found there was more than one. And I kept saying, there's something large, there's something large. They went out there and found a horse. So, you know, it's not just people, it's animals too. So, you know.
So are you able to pick up if they were deceased or they're alive? Like,
yeah,
if you go to a location?
I can tell they're passed away.
Okay.
So a lot of times I'm laying there and I have one of my eyes is underwater and one of my eyes is above. And I describe that I'm underneath a piece of sheet metal or piece of wood. And I know I'm laying there kind of in the water. You know, it's never 100%. I had a lady out in the area here in California, close by. She had wandered away from home. She had Alzheimer's, God bless her. And I kind of described to the area she was in. I said, she's laying under a tree, but she's near water. Her head's near water. But I didn't understand because everything's kind of distorted, almost like a dream, you know? And they found her the next day. She was in an orange orchard under the tree. She had passed away, but her head was on the aqueduct, you know, the pipe. So all that water was underneath her. So for me, I saw water, but I didn't know it was an aqueduct, you know? So that's how it kind of worked. So I like that you two guys are really close to each other right now. It's kind of cool.
Who, me or them?
Hondo and yeah, the two guys are like right next to each other. They
they're meant to be. David asked, what is your success rate?
Right now, in the last year, we had 7. I hit 3. So that's pretty good. I mean, I think it's pretty good.
That's better than, 0. So
that's good. Modern math. Yes. Who do we got?
You must get a lot of, since you are helping these people out, that's something at least that you're getting, that, I was able to help somebody out, even if they don't give you the thank you, but hey, I helped these folks. So
I don't great. I don't stick around for the thank yous. It's like, goodbye. I've done my work here. I got to go. It's just, I don't do it for that reason. Those are all pay forward things. I don't get money for that kind of thing. It's strictly families. I do a tremendous amount of regular charity work with children, and I have lots of friends that do that. But for me, it's like, this is another way of paying it forward for the gift I've been given, because it's like, what do you do with this? You could show off and go, look what I can do. Or you can say to yourself, what am I doing with it? And I chose that when I was about 15 or 16, even as far back as that, because I'm older than dirt. But I chose that. I said, what am I doing with this? And I thought, I'm going to try and help people with this. And so as years have gone by, it's been different forms of helping people. And one of them is locating people that have disappeared. And so once that happens, it's like, you get a thank you, but I don't, it's grieving, and it's not negativity, but it's closure. And it's like that heavy sigh, and you just kind of go, okay, we found him. And then you just move on. And the satisfaction in your soul is kind of enough,
Right.
For me. I don't know how other people are, but for me, that's the way it is. This is
That's
asking
awesome.
me, am I able to direct spirits to a location? Like, can you tell them to visit Damon? He's always open to talk and communicate.
I think Damon just wants to be haunted.
If they bother you, go bother Damon.
I've been on. I've been on
through the internet.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Joy's dolls.
My dolls.
We don't do the doll thing. Sorry, guys. No, I draw
He
the
doesn't
line.
do the dolls.
I did a. I got a couple things to say, because obviously I've got nothing to say. But I did an investigation at this one house out in the middle of nowhere out here in California, in a place called Chatsworth, but it's up in the hills, and you guys know that area. And we were in a house that they say the construction workers will not work there after dark. So the place is layered with history. And the woman had just passed away, like, I guess it was a couple months before. So when we went into the home, all the electricity, everything was off. But when we went in there, they said, the caretakers are saying we can take anything we want. If you want something in the house, please take it. And we walked in the room, and the guy goes, you can have that doll, because you had just mentioned a doll. And I'm like, oh, hell no. We don't do dolls. We don't take mirrors. I don't do any of that, I mean, there was a doll. I mean, it's classic doll, the mirror, the Victorian doll, mind you, with an axe. I'm kidding. But she basically was on the dresser, and I said, nope, ain't happening. I had a huge confrontation with the spirit that night on the box that makes the noise, sounds like static.
Yeah.
Spirit box.
Yeah, it's like, sounds like static, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm having this full conversation with this spirit who's swearing at me, calling me everything but a child of God, right? And the people that are there are going, who is he talking to? And I'm totally hearing the whole thing, swearing at me and telling me to get the hell out and whatever. And then they played it back, and you can hear the spirit talking to me and me saying, why are you talking like that to me? You shouldn't speak like that. They're like, how we know what you were talking about. So, I was hearing, that was the clear audio thing. I was hearing a lot, but they weren't hearing. I was hearing. The person who was just asking that question, Damon, whatever, I want to let you know, like, when I'm in an investigation, a lot of times when I'm with the other investigators, there may not be a lot going on. I don't know what it is, but I draw almost like a ghost magnet. I draw them to me to use that particular time period to give me information about the house, or to be there to give me answers. And that's when their meters go off and all the bells and whistles go off. But a lot of times when investigators go in, they find very little. But when you're with a medium, and just to let you know, other investigators out there, that's why I recommend mediums or psychics to go with you, because they do draw them in temporarily and they can release them again. But if you want answers as to the place you're at, that's a good thing to do, is bring a medium or a psychic with you, because it's very important to, not just sensitives, because they know there's something there, but they can't figure out exactly what it is. And that's what being clairsentient is. They can sense the energy, but they can't cross over those people that have passed away. So does that give you any idea? To use a medium, not an extra large like me, but I mean, definitely.
No, if there's no medium available,
right. Well, you can go. I mean, please go.
I just say, hey, follow me.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to get some readings. It's not like never going to get something. It's just always, if you can get somebody to do it, please do. It's always a good thing. But you also have to, you got to do the research, even on the mediums. It's like, you never know what you're going to get.
I agree.
I mean, I'm not putting anybody down out there, but there are so many self-proclaimed mediums, and there's a lot of sensitives that are not mediums, but they think they are. And so, you got to kind of like ask questions about other people, like getting a review online,
Right.
I don't get readings because I go out there and say to people, hey, I'll do a reading for you, or, pick me. It's more like, it's more like other people say, do you know anybody? And then somebody says, hey, I know this guy. It's me. I'm that guy. So, but you have to be recommended. And so that comes from experience, but also from eyewitnesses. They're going to tell other people that you're good at what you do. So if you
Right.
don't have a medium, that's okay. I recommend, if you're going to do it, it's for fun anyway, just to go out. But sometimes it turns a little serious, so bubble up, so to speak,
Be careful. Yeah. Be careful
Yeah.
what you wish for.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any? I've got a few things here, but do you guys have any other
He
questions for
wants
me?
pea soup.
Pea soup, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying he wants pea soup. I did have a question and it just flew my mind.
Go ahead,
Hey,
I'm
It'll
ready.
come back. You have a question about?
No, man, I'm here for the ride. I'm usually
I'm
the
gonna
one
make my
talking
call
most of
later.
the
Oh
time.
my
This is a welcomed
Oh,
thing, man. I passed you the baton. You take us to the finish line.
I'm kind of a blabbermouth, as you can tell, but that I think it comes from a lot of the energy that goes through me, and also I've been doing this, like I told you at the beginning, for over 50 some years, and as you can tell, it's my passion. I'm still excited about it.
Yeah.
I love sharing my stories, and I love helping people. It's really, really important to me to be out there doing this. And there's lots of other people like myself that are just wonderful, wonderful individuals who do what I do, in a different way, but they still do what I do. And that's why I put, I'm with a group of other sensitives in the area I'm living in, and we meet once a month, and we kind of go over what things I've been talking to you about. Like we're talking about dreams this next time, like prophetic dreams and what do they mean? And, so there's lots of facets to being a psychic, or facets to being, connected to the paranormal. It's not just, reading people. There's dreams and, and deja vu and all the things you guys, that you guys know. So
I do have a question just popped in my head.
definitely.
So do you think that everybody has some sort of psychic ability? They just don't know how to tap into it?
I
I've
think
heard that from a lot of people, but
I think everybody has a little bit of intuition, but I think that some people are meant to tap into it, and some
right,
people
more than others.
do. Yeah, it's like remember I talked about the piano players. Those are the
Mhm.
people that are going to tap into learning how to play the piano, because it's something that draws them in. It's the
Yeah.
driving for me, being around that, because I was very young. I was being given that gift, or that blessing, so to speak, or curse, whatever you want to call it. I chose to do that, but it wasn't all my life. I do magic, like I said, professionally. I've been involved in, costume making. I'm very connected with the whole Renaissance fair type thing. So I'm very connected with all kinds of things that I do outside of being a psychic medium. But this is my one love, my passion that I really push on, because it's helped so many people. Okay, here's a question.
From Damon.
Probably a hospital. It's kind of like the cemetery you would think would be, but no. To be honest with you, most spirits, and I don't know if other mediums have said this to you, and I'll talk to you about animal communications, Rose, in just a second. Hi, Rosie. The hospital are people that pass a lot of times not knowing they were going to pass, or it was like kind of abrupt. Cemeteries, those people have already passed, and either their spirits have moved back to the home where they came from, or they're still roaming around. The cemetery, I know people go there to do readings and stuff, and you'll get a little bit here and there, but the spirit doesn't hang around the body. It's just a shell. So
I
it's
feel
kind
like it's dead at a cemetery, to be honest with you.
yeah, you know what I mean?
I agree as well.
Yeah.
Why would they be there? It's like, that's not exactly my favorite place to hang out, so why would they want to do that? They would rather be in a familiar place back home with their family, So
We've done prisons and sanitariums, hospitals, and we seem like that's more active than a cemetery.
Because their trauma of passing away, whether it was from a heart attack or whatever the trauma was, happened in the hospital. So this is where their spirit kind of like feels unjustified. I shouldn't have died. I shouldn't have left. And that's where I feel more spirits. Yeah. So going into the cemeteries, very little. It's mostly hospitals and things like that.
Yeah.
The one question this is her sister, by the way, is talking to me now. Spirit animals, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to get into that because your sister, Linda, hang on a second. Your sister just talked to me about animals. I pick up spirit animals when I'm talking to people, like when I'm doing readings. Like I'll see a dog walk through and I'll go, what the heck? Do you guys have an animal? Well, we used to. And then I realize it's a spirit animal. A lot of times I'll see the spirit animal palling around with the other animals in the house because they were alive at the same time, or they just like being around the other dogs. I also see spirit animals go to the person who, like maybe a grandmother passed away and her dog passed away after her. I see them together, reunited. So spirit animals are very much a part of my readings. I'm trying to learn to be a pet psychic. I haven't learned anything yet. That's my newest thing, to try and learn to connect with live animals, as opposed to animals that have already passed away. Because one thing I'd love to ask a live animal is, where do they keep their money? But that doesn't go over real well with the pet. So anyways, yeah, and that's what that is. So spirit animals, yes, there's many around. They hang around. Residual energy, whatever you want to call it, they hang around the home, because that's where they were loved. Why wouldn't you go where you're loved, not the cemetery or whatever? You know, and even when they're cremated, it's the same thing. I see the cremated animal still as a whole being, not as a cremated, whatever the word is, animal. And as far Linda's question was, I can't remember what it was off the top.
Animal communication, or
There you
if
go.
you dream about someone. There you go. Yeah.
If they dream visitation.
I think so. I think it's, if you're feeling like very stressed out, or very like a lot of anxiety, which obviously a lot of people have, I think it manifests itself to you to give you peace. Sometimes to give you, kind of let you know they're still watching over you. I would like to think that they come to us to give us peace of mind, and take care of our, watch over us, our children. To let, like, grandma's still watching over your kids, or she. There's a lot of love there, and I think that they realize you're suffering, and so they come back to kind of just give you that visitation. Sometimes they come to us in during the daytime in different forms: butterflies, hummingbirds, coins on the ground, that kind of thing. I'm sure you've heard people say they find pennies or dimes. I don't know if you've ever heard this or not. Hummingbirds, butterflies, dragonflies, whatever have you. Yeah, I think they visit us quite a bit while we're awake and while we're not.
Yeah, I believe that too.
So
real quick, when going on an investigation, you say it's good to bring a medium, but let's say the medium can't physically be there. Can they be like
remote,
like on a live while you're at a location?
I'm sure you guys watch a lot of shows, right? You watch a lot of the
Yeah, they can tap in.
And you guys know Chip Coffey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you notice, Chip, a lot of times his health isn't good, so he basically he goes remote, but while they're at the location, he can still pick it up. I do Zoom readings, I do FaceTime readings, so I don't have to be in the presence of the person who I'm reading. I prefer it because it's a little stronger energy, but I read all over the world. I don't read just here in the United States. I read in Australia, New Zealand, all over the UK. As long as I can see your face and I'm talking to you and I can hear your voice, stuff that's in the back of your mind is what I pick up.
You can tap in. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you're starting to call it spirit. Yes, the answer is yes to that. You want to communicate, like, oh, we haven't talked to anyone in a long time. Yes, I become their mouthpiece. Unfortunately, they've got the person with the most mouthpiece, and that's me. It doesn't. What I was going to say is, when people, like I was telling you earlier about people standing in line with numbers, waiting to talk to the person I'm talking to, it's like that, because yes, when I open myself up, they flock in. And sometimes there's more dominant spirits than others. Like sometimes the grandmother doesn't want anybody to talk because she needs to talk, or the mom needs to push everybody back, that kind of thing. But yes, they do come in large quantities sometimes. And some of them stay in the background because they're nervous, like they don't feel like they're comfortable coming through. And then towards the end of the reading, once everybody's kind of, tried it, they kind of step forward and say, oh, by the way, I'm her dad, or I'm his dad. So
now, does that go? Does that go for somebody? I think he meant if he was to call out to spirits, like if he was on investigation, because he's an investigator too. He's a paranormal investigator.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But that also follows suit. Yes, if you're calling to spirits in the area, like if you're strong enough, if you're calling and they can hear you, you feel like they do hear you and respond to you, they're going to come in more than one at a time. Okay. If they feel it's a friendly situation, or they feel comfortable with you basically being there, they will come.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, if I'm talking to your mom or dad, they're friendly spirits. When you're basically doing a random thing in a hospital or wherever it is,
you don't know. Yeah.
You are basically subjecting yourself to anything that's there. So be prepared for. I mean, I've had closet doors thrown in my face. I mean, literally, like walking down, all of a sudden the door slams open. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff while I've been doing investigations. A lot of physical stuff that most of the time you don't see. You're talking and all of a sudden the door just kind of opens by itself. That's unfortunately, online, when you see people posting that stuff, all of that stuff can be fabricated with string, and and even if it's real, you can never prove that, and that's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I see that
Yeah.
a lot. I see people going, "This really happened," and like, yeah, okay,
At the end of the day, Damon, just be careful what you ask for.
do you guys know this person?
Yeah, I talked to him on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He also has a YouTube channel as well.
Oh, hi, Damon.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So,
yeah,
Michael, I had a question for you.
paranormal popcorn. Here we go.
That's him. Yeah, Damon.
Absolutely. I don't think there's boundaries when it comes to spirit, because I've had people that pass away in New Jersey and they come out to California. I think that the person who I'm reading for that's sitting in front of me, or the person that wants to know, has enough energy in the back of their mind, their memory of that person brings them forward. That's my opinion. Okay, it's my opinion. I don't know how other spirit people work or psychics work, but for me as a medium, I call through the person I'm reading to their relative to come and give them messages of love and peace and whatever guidance. Reading, because it's all about direction and moving forward. Because when that person's gone, they don't want you lingering on their memory. They want you to move forward with your life until you meet again.
Right.
So yes, I do believe that spirits can come to you when you call them, no matter what the distance is. But
Armando,
that's my opinion. I never tell people this is the law, this is the facts, this is how it works for me.
Yeah. You had a question, Armando?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So I know that when we communicate with spirit, we essentially will understand them in a language that we understand. So English, we've come across times that it's Spanish.
Good question.
I have been asked that question many times. It's very interesting. And this is something over the last 10 years I've finally figured out, believe it or not, after all this time. I'm reading to somebody and I'm telling them that the grandmother came through and she was asking them questions. And they're saying to me, my grandmother didn't speak English. She spoke German. I said, the way I hear it is in English.
Exactly.
So to answer your question, they do come through speaking in Spanish or whatever, but I'm hearing it because I'm allowed to interpret it here in English.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So my question actually was and it kind of goes back a little bit where you were talking about that you were trying to get more into animal communication.
Right.
So that was my question. I know like in human and spirit, it's like that, but would that work the same for animal as well?
That's what I don't know, because I'm studying that now and I don't know how that works, how the communication, if this is a signal or if you're actually getting, like words, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know about talking dogs, but I've never heard it.
That would be interesting.
To be honest with you, I really don't know. That's why I find it very curious. What's the communication like? Is it just a feeling you're getting? Like my dog has anxiety or depression because he's depressed because of something, and you can ask the person like, why would your dog be depressed? But I don't know how that works. So I'm still learning. Even after all these years, I'm still learning, which I think is wonderful because I like being a sponge. I like to get as much information as I can. And with people, like I said, once again, I've been asked many questions in foreign languages that I translated in English. And I know they're not just random. They're like real specific questions. So I know I'm right on. You know what I mean? Like I knew I was connected because they were telling me something. One of the men that came through was speaking to me specifically in Spanish. And he was telling me, I know this is going to sound like a Dr. Seuss book, but he said, tell him I'm in my boat with a goat. And I looked at the person and I go, like, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to say this to you, but don't laugh at me, is what I told the family. I said, he's telling me he's in a boat with a goat. And they're like, huh? And the mom chimes in finally. She says, my father used to deliver groceries in a boat with a goat, a black and white goat. And he would go from port to port and hand groceries to the families from this boat. And I thought, okay, so I knew the detail was so specific that I was connected. But he spoke no English, so I knew I was being translated properly.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I get the crazy stuff. So, trained or managed? No, actually, no. This is all self-taught for me, which is obviously I'm very old, and it's all self-taught to the point where I know I keep speaking about my age, but this is something I've been doing all my life. It's not something I learned overnight. So it's kind of like it's a process and asking questions to people. I don't ask a lot because what's good for them is not always good for me, but I like to ask questions. I'm always very curious. And so my education in paranormal or whatever you want to call it is all self-taught. I have a huge library, probably over 500 books. A lot of them are dated back in the 17 and 1800s. I'm a big collector of old books on the paranormal and ghost and whatever have you, but I don't study like that. I study some of them. So just the ones that I feel are pertain to what I'm doing. But no, it's all strictly trial and error, get out there and do it. It's like what I told you earlier about the tarot cards. For people that are learning, you can either jump in and learn, or you can just basically keep reading, because it's, what do you call it? Over-analysis paralysis. You can learn and learn and learn, and you'll never stop, because there's so much information out there on tarot cards. So you got to kind of say to yourself at one point, I'm going to try this, and just jump in. And that's what I did with my stuff. How are they able to hear your voice across the state? Have you guys listening to how loud I am?
Spirit.
Okay. I think the whole state of Florida is hearing me besides these two. So honestly, I think that's a great question, but I think because of my ability being as honed or as strong as it is, the energy, it reaches out quite a ways through the person in front of me, because of the love that they have. It reaches through me into them and then out. Nothing is about possession. Nothing is about retaining spirits. It's about the love and the memory that they retain triggers that, and it just sends out a signal. And I just feel like that person is allowed to come back and talk to them. It's a lot of times guardians or guides will not allow people to come back because it's not appropriate or not the right time for them to come through. Because I have a lot of people that want people that just passed away to come through, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Or it's like telephone. Hey, they're calling you. Hey, they're calling you. Hey, they're calling you.
Ghost to ghost broadcast, right?
I hear that a lot. Like, a lot of people say, like, oh, how come I haven't heard about my dad or my grandma, and they've died, and wait for years. And I think
you know what? Honestly, I don't think everybody is allowed to come through. I don't think everybody should come through. I think that for me, it's like, I get people, I do a reading, and then they'll call me 2 weeks later and go, I want another one. I go, that's not what this is about. It's about closing things, closing those doors, and getting yourself to move on. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love doing readings and all that, but they can't just like, oh, can you talk to my dad for a minute? I got to ask him if I should buy that bread. It's like, you should just go buy the bread. Don't worry about your dad. They want them to guide them through everyday life, and you can't do that. They're not here for a reason. It's to make you stronger. It's for you to stand on your own 2 feet, step up, do it for yourself. Know that your dad loves you. Know that that person was behind you. Know your mom is your support system. She's still with you. She still supports you, but don't rely on that. You have to rely on yourself. And so for me, it's more about the love and that triggering that, but they're not always allowed to come through because they're meant not to stay where they're at. They've moved on, and time on the other side of the veil, so to speak, is extremely slow. Okay. So when I have somebody come back through and say, do you know where my knitting is at? And it's 25 years ago, they think it was yesterday. Okay. So keep that in mind, that things move very slowly. So when you guys ask a question with your REM pod in front of you or your EVPs or whatever it is, give it a few seconds. I don't know if you noticed
there is always a delay.
Yes,
right. You're on to the next question, and they can answer that last question you just had. So it's hard.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I know I'm over talking, but anyways.
No, that's a good point, because I feel like that during investigation, I'm like, you're not getting the spirit time to answer that.
Because it's like, you're talking to a person that's not here anymore, and they're hearing it, and they're processing it, and they're going, oh, maybe I should say yes. But that takes 20 seconds, and you're already on to the third question.
The guys are here.
Leaving. Don't be like, oh, there's nothing here.
Exactly.
You may not be using the right bait, like there's fish out there. You just got to give up a few minutes,
Yeah. We've been to locations where we have absolutely nothing until we're about to leave. So it's like they're mustering up their strength or something, or
I told you a lot of times they don't be respectful. Like I said, you're being respectful.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times they feel like they're what do they call it? Silly pet tricks. Move the stick, turn on the light. It's like, I know all the stuff that goes with paranormal investigations, but you got to be a little respectful too. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, if you're here, can you do this for us, please? We'd like to know you're with us so that we can ask you some questions.
Yeah,
Once you
absolutely.
get that first signal of the light going on or the stick being moved or whatever it is, then you could say, I know you're with us. Can I ask you a question? Be respectful, because they don't want to keep doing tricks. That's not why they're there. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so
I've always said that they don't have to talk to us if they didn't want to. So yeah.
no, they're being allowed to talk to you. It's a privilege for you to even get that. It's
Exactly.
you know, for to have somebody come through, you know, a
Yeah.
mom, Joey, you have an older woman that stands behind you. Is this your grandmother?
Oh my God.
I wasn't going to do that. I promised myself before I came on today that I wasn't going to do that. But
Her anniversary just passed. Yeah.
No, yeah, you passed that message, Mike. This is your show, buddy. You do what you got to do.
I'm really sorry. I wasn't going to
No.
do that.
You're okay.
I apologize. That was one of the things I
I
promised
had a feeling you were going to do that too. I already knew. I was like waiting. I was like, he's going to pull something I know from some one of us.
I don't want to do that, but she kept saying, please tell him I'm here. She has her hands on your shoulder and she said, please tell him I'm here. I said, okay, I got to say something because she's going to get mad at me. She has the wooden spoon. So she's showing me the wooden spoon. So it's my form of discipline from older women, you know, and also they're really good cooks or bakers, you know, but she definitely shows me that she's with you. So letting you know the visitation is right now. And she just wants to let you know she's with us and she wanted to say hello.
I think he's been waiting for that. I think he's been waiting
is
for
she
that.
one of those people we're talking about that does not speak English?
She had a very thick accent.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can.
Sorry,
see
guys.
No. This is amazing. Keep going. Keep going.
I'm gonna tell you something later, Joy.
Looking at the outside words, like if I'm looking at a word, if the person's speaking in another language, it's almost like the word is vibrating, so I can't see it real clearly. So that's why that's my signal to know that this person either had a really heavy accent or they didn't speak English at all. That's why I was asking you that question. But she wanted to say hello to you.
I think that's what he needed. So thank you.
She shows me now. These are emojis. Keep this in mind. These are emojis. She shows me a cigarette. So I don't know if she passed from the lungs or upper. She had a hard time breathing. But this is what she shows me before she passes. So I don't know if she actually smoked or if this is just showing me she couldn't breathe very well. I know it's just a kind of a random signal. But did she pass from upper part of the body? Like lungs or cancer? Heart attack?
She was a smoker.
She was
quit.
a smoker, and she had a lot of lung issues.
Was there an aneurysm?
We don't know.
With
she
a
fell.
blockage.
She
Well,
fell.
she showed me a blockage, and I wasn't sure what that was. So maybe she couldn't breathe very well. I don't know.
Wasn't
But
it-
that's what
wasn't
she
her, her organs failing or kidney or
Yeah, she had a little bit of everything. She had a little bit of everything.
she was kind of greedy. She got a little bit of everything, huh? She's pointing her finger, doing this at me. Okay. She's doing you're not funny. You're not funny. But she's laughing while she's doing it. You're not funny, but she's laughing.
she used to do that.
Yeah.
She used to do that.
She's showing me an orange, like the fruit. So I don't know what that's all about, but she's showing me an orange. I don't know if this is something that was a big thing to her or fresh fruit was a big deal when she was younger, when she was a little kid. They didn't have a lot of that. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, she shows me an orange. I'm just letting you know. So I don't know what that. So think about that. I have no idea why she's showing me that. I know I wasn't going to do this, and I'm not going to. So what was your question?
I forgot now, though. Thank you for doing that. I think because her anniversary just
You
passed.
bring up the fruit, and it's funny because when I was younger, she had this set of like fake fruit on the table in the
Did
in
you
the
take
house.
a bite?
I picked it up, and she would smack my hand. And
Okay.
I picked it up, and she would smack my hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because she shows me like the orange, and you're trying to bite it, I guess, and I guess she stopped you from eating it. Okay. I was wondering what that was because it was kind of odd, you know.
I didn't think I was going to cry. You shocked the
know.
shit out of me.
You know, that's a
And
good
then
question.
you mentioned the wooden spoon, and she had this old figurine.
I didn't
with
even know that. Yeah.
Like a cook figurine, a male.
Yeah,
And
it had the tall white hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it had wooden spoons.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Spoon holder, right? It holds the spoon. Yeah, tall white hat, like the old baker type
Yeah.
or Coke type. Yeah, that's what she's showing me. But she has the wooden spoon in her hand too as well. But she wags her finger a lot because she's basically teaching lessons.
Yeah.
But just to let you know, she does come through to let you know she watches over you. And I don't know if I should say this to you or not because don't get a big head, but you were her favorite. So
I
she
think
just
so
let
too.
me know.
I think so too. Yeah, 'cause
and
she was
so
called him the baby. Hi,
Yeah.
baby, because his grandma raised him when he was
Okay.
since he was a little kid.
This
So
is what she's showing me. I just want to let you know she did come through real quickly just to say hi.
thank you, Grandma.
And I don't, was it because she showed me a birthday cake. What was it, her birthday?
You just said her anniversary.
Anniversary.
Her birthday is coming up next month.
Yeah, she
There you
shows me
go.
a cake with a candle in it, but it's one candle. I don't know why. So she shows me one, the number one. So she's either a January person or when she was born or her anniversary was January but the number one is what she's showing me. I don't know if she's just telling me you're number one or maybe she's not using that finger. Maybe she's using a different finger, but finger of choice, pick a finger. Anyways, she's really cool. I like her. She's kind of feisty, so I do like her.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
But she does show me her legs as well, kind of like a swelling in the leg area. So I don't know if she could walk before she passed. Were you with her when she passed?
I was back and forth 3 times,
She's in New York,
and then
yeah.
I got the call.
Did
when
she pass
passed.
while you were out of the room?
Yes.
Did she? Yeah, a lot of times older people like to do that. They don't like their loved ones to be in the room with them when they pass. So they actually almost wait till you leave. You know.
We actually think. Can I tell him? Do you guys, Jen and Amanda, do you mind telling him this? Us telling him the story really quick because I know we're really limited on time.
No, you're good.
please.
You're good.
This is awesome, dude. Keep going.
Yeah. In her hand, she shows me a rosary. Was this something connected to her as well?
I have a
Do
communion.
you have
cross.
it?
Yes.
Is it natural? Is the color natural, like a wood or a dark wood?
You picked
Yeah.
that up, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not.
We have to talk.
She's showing me the rosary, but it's not like a color like pink or blue. It's like natural or dark wood.
Yeah, it is dark wood.
Yeah.
Was she buried with that?
No, I have it. I
Okay.
have it's my communion cross.
She wanted it. So what she's showing me is, she's asking me, "Do you still have it?"
Aw.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who's the man? Who's the man that's with her? That's military. Is this her father or her husband? I got a man that's with her that's showing me medals. So I don't know if he was actually in the military or connected to that.
Is he passed?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
No,
I mean,
wait.
It could be my grandfather,
But
but
No.
I don't even was in the military.
I don't think this man's older. I think he's younger. Somebody who's currently in military that's connected to her, like maybe a brother of yours or a uncle, but it's somebody connected that was in military. I don't believe they still are. Let it go. It's okay. We could do this for hours.
Weren't you in the military?
No, he said
No,
they'd not passed.
Oh, they're not
Well,
passed.
you were in the military, weren't you?
Look at
I
me.
was in the
Look like
military.
I'm a soldier.
My uncle was in the military,
Yeah.
and both my uncles were in the military.
Do we have an R name in the military person? Like Ray or Roy or Robert? Or I've got an R name or a P name.
Frankie?
I don't know.
Frankie?
Like
don't know.
last name is Rodriguez.
Okay.
Frankie?
She shows me a big R, so I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, she's showing me the letter R, so I don't know what that is.
was your
No, I
grandpa's
was not
name?
in the military. I don't. Do I look like it? I mean, look at this. You know.
No, no.
No, I'm in Joey.
If I pull this back, if I pull this hair back, now I look like I'm in the military.
So
But-
before she passed away, the night she passed away, because he's in California, she passed away in New York. We had
Okay.
this. I was on the computer editing a video. We heard this buzzing noise, and so we were trying to figure out where the hell it was coming from. It ended up being my water pick that I haven't used. Why it turned on, I have no idea. A few hours later, he gets a call that his grandma had passed. So I'm wondering if that was her saying that she's leaving. Like, I
No,
don't know.
she's
no.
telling you need to brush your teeth. Is what she tell. No, I have
This
no
dentist
idea.
is expensive.
Look, I'm good, but I'm not that good. No, I have no idea. With signals, with things like that, I would love to say yes because it's so
Okay.
romantic to say yes. You
Yeah.
know, I find
Yeah.
that people that believe in ghosts are romantic people. Because they want to believe, not necessarily that they have proof. But if you had that kind of a thing happen where something electronic went off in the house, I would say yes. I mean, I think it's a wonderful way to let people know.
Yeah,
that-
it's comfort.
I can think of something nicer, like something in the refrigerator, but if that's where she went, that's fine.
Yeah.
So did you want to ask, Jen, did you want to ask me something? You had said something?
Oh yeah. So say for, well, me, I'm just an emotional ass person. But like when you give readings, do you ever get like that, like an emotional, or like, how she was crying, how they were crying, like how do you, or does that ever happen to you? Or you want to, yeah.
The answer is yes, and most readers do, but here's the difference. If I was to allow that emotion to take over what I'm talking to the person, because there are many times when I'm ready to fall apart, and I don't even know these people, but I'm ready because I feel the energy. I want to cry because I'm a kind of a sensitive person. Anyways, but if I was to do that, it clouds my senses. So when it doesn't allow me to give them the reading that they're basically wanting. So I try not to get that emotionally involved, but it's like when I put up that bubble and I feel on the outside, I know there's an emotional connection there, and I can sense that person is very sad. I will actually let them know that the person's sad or they're happy or whatever the emotion is. But yes, does it affect me? Absolutely. I bring a box of tissues with me every reading I go to. But the point that I'm making is I can't allow it to cloud my ability, because I'm only given that one chance sometimes to connect with mom or connect with dad. So I'm trying to use that to the full capacity to give them the best reading they could have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. If they cry, I cry. Yeah,
well,
I'm
a very emotional person. My dad had 9 sisters, and I have, 3 sisters, and TME, too much estrogen in the house, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I get that.
So that's what I'm saying. It's yes, I do feel it. And I try to be professional with it, try to keep it at where it's supposed to be. But yeah, I do feel it. I'm not drained when I leave the house, but I do feel the emotion. It's that bubbling thing I was talking about. Mm-hmm. I can sense if you're not feeling well, the bubble, I can actually sense it on the inside. I don't absorb it. So I know you're not feeling well, and I can say, hey, is your leg bothering you? Or are you having headaches or whatever it is? Because I feel that, but I don't absorb it, so I'm not affected by it. It's the same as what you just asked me. I know it's there, but I don't absorb it because it doesn't allow me to give them a true connection. And I know I've been blabbing on forever, but
what would you say? I remember how you asked before about like if anybody has like the shivers. What would you, for people who experience that? What would you call that, or what would you say that is exactly?
Okay. Once again, this is in my opinion. I always say that.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different experience with it. Some people that are psychic or sensitives are very like overwhelmed by spirit. Some people feel like they're possessed, where they're actually, like you see in the movies. It's very, very drastic. It's very dark, because if the energy that comes through is not loving, it could be very dangerous. It can be very harming to the body. Like I was talking about attachments, that kind of thing. You have to be fully protected. And when I talk about the shivers going through me or the cold air going through me, listen to the words when I'm telling you, when I say through me. The messages that I'm giving you are yours to have. They're not mine to keep. So any energy that goes through me goes through me. It doesn't stay with me. So my suggestion is protect yourself to the point where as the energy is going through you, you don't keep it. You're just kind of almost like an empty vessel that kind of almost like a sieve, like a screen. You allow it to go through to be given to the person, and then let the spirit move on. You don't retain it. You're not a bucket. You're a sieve. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know I talk, but I don't know if I'm making any sense. So
it just got super, super cold right now.
I'm not
really.
I'm shivering right now.
Yeah, I don't feel anything.
So
I got the chills.
Well, you know what? On my right side, I do. Maybe a little bit.
My
Yeah.
whole arm right now chills the whole time you were talking.
That's because on my screen, there's a young man sitting next to you that's really handsome. That's probably what you're feeling.
Who?
That Joey guy.
That's right.
Who are you talking to?
Joey's girl.
He's on the opposite side, so I don't think it's him.
It's okay. 3,000 miles is no big deal. Love transcends all bounds.
It's all love with them. Cool.
Yeah. He had his grandmother. You have a male figure that comes through, an older male. I don't know if it's a dad or a grandfather who's connected to you. To him.
Me?
Oh,
No,
not Joey.
Oh, to Armando?
Armando.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. It might be a grandfather.
Yeah, somebody always comes through for him. Nobody ever comes through for me.
He shows me. This
My
person's from
grandpa still cold.
two things: either fishing. Actually, this person's fishing, or you're looking for a new job, or you're connecting with something new. I don't know what it is, but anyways, that's what's coming to me. I have no idea what this is. But once again, you're 3,000 miles. I have no idea. So, but yeah, I just felt like an energy, a male energy coming through. So, there's also a woman that comes through with him. He kind of backs off and she steps in. So I don't know if this is a mom figure or a mom energy or a grandmother energy. She wears clip-ons, so she's old-fashioned. And I don't know if I'm still picking him up, but I pick up an older woman with you as well. But she's not as strong as his grandmother was. So, but I don't know if this is your grandmother still with us or not, because I pick up both living as well as people that have passed away. So I have no idea. I have no idea.
So you got to ask, did anybody wear clip-on earrings?
Yeah. You know,
I think everybody did back then. I mean,
sometimes they don't actually wear them. It's a symbol for old fashioned.
Okay.
Got it.
Once again, it's an emoji for me. So
yeah.
So once again, I don't know which one of you are connected with this, but I've got a gun. Not really. I've got a
It's right here.
I've got a gun.
Exactly.
I don't know which one of you are connected with this, but the gun is my symbol for somebody who passed away too soon in life. So they took their own life or had their life taken from them. So it's almost like either a suicide or it's somebody had took their life or they took their own life, but they come through. The gun is just a symbol for me. They could have hung themselves. It could have been a drug overdose, substance abuse, a car accident, but this is a person who passed. Do you know who this might be? Is this connected to you or you? Or
Me,
both
Joy.
you?
Joy.
Who?
You gotta make me. You gotta stop making me cry.
I wasn't.
And I had a feeling that person was gonna come out.
I don't want. I wasn't supposed to do readings. I was just supposed to say hi. You know? Look at me. Look at me. No, but this person comes through, and a lot of times when I'm reading for people, or like when I'm talking to people like yourselves, they kind of force themselves in because they figure it's their time to be heard, or they really want you to know that they're still out there. Is this somebody connected to you, Joey? Joy?
Yeah.
Is this somebody very close?
Yeah.
Like almost like a brother type thing? Okay.
My brother. Yeah.
It is your brother?
Yeah.
Okay, because he comes through to say hello to you.
And he died.
Do you know those? Don't tell me yet. Do you know those necklaces that have the two pieces that go together that say BFF?
Yeah.
That's what he shows me. So I don't know if you're real close with him, but that's what he shows me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he shows me the heart being put together. So he wants to let you know he's still part of that. So you're both still connected, even though he may not be in front of you. He just wanted me to tell you you're still connected.
It's been a long time since he's passed.
Okay.
We talked about that literally this week.
Yeah. I've got two numbers for you. One is 7 and 117. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's his age or how long ago or his birthday in July or whatever, but 7 and 17 are your numbers for today. So go play the horses.
I put a bet.
What were you going to say? You guys were talking about
that. Was my grandpa's thing, playing horses.
717. I'm gonna.
I wrote it down in case you forget.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I'm taking notes for you.
You guys
thank you.
I know you.
But to answer your question, when you said the gun, my brother did pass away of suicide.
Okay. Just wondering, because when they show me a gun, like I said, it's an early death. Somebody who passed before they should have. Either they take their own life or somebody takes it, But that's usually what the gun, that's my symbol for suicide or somebody who passed before they should have. So I've got an elderly, I don't know how old she is. I'm not going to say she's really old, but she's more like mom age, like probably 40, 35, 40, 50 in that area, connected to her.
Jen?
To Jen, yeah.
Jenny?
I don't know who this is, but it's somebody connected to you. But I'm seeing kind of pharmaceuticals around this person. So I don't know if they're still with us or not, but I see a lot of pharmaceuticals. When I say a lot, it's almost like if I open a medicine cabinet, they start falling out. They're all over the counter. So this is a person who's very connected with pharmaceuticals or substances. So it's either like a sister or it's a female, but she's connected. She either passed from this or she's connected to you like a mom figure, but I don't know who she is.
Oh my God. Are you sure it's for Jen?
I don't know. I'm just picking up a woman.
My best friend just passed away.
Was it a
in
drug thing?
February as well. She,
Oh, 17. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to say the reasoning what
know
we
what?
think it is,
I
but
can't, like when I'm doing a reading for somebody directly across from me, all these things I'm telling you, all of you, are being written down on a piece of paper, because a lot of times, even though I'm talking to, let's say, your brother, she comes through and says 17. So I'm thinking your brother's saying it, but it's not your brother. Okay. So it's all this. Remember we talked about spirits coming in, more than one? That's what
Yeah.
happens. It kind of bombard the area. So at this
I'll
point,
tell you in private.
I'm
I'll
getting-
tell you both in private why
So,
why you might be pulling that up.
yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw these people not out of my life, so to speak, but I need to push them away because I need to talk to you guys directly. It's just important that we do this, that we intended to do today, and not me going off in spirit land, you know? So I hope you don't mind, but I just felt like say a few things. They
You're
kind of,
amazing. Thank you.
they were kind of just forcing themselves on me, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, her anniversary is coming up too, so
Okay.
and just like 6 days, so
Okay. I was wondering, I've got now I know we have Joy and Joey and Jen, but once again, the letter J comes like a big J, and or
her
a
name
T.
was Jessica.
Okay, so it's
That's
a big
her.
J.
Yeah.
So just letting you know, I know we have these 3 J's here, but you know, this was a 4J. So just letting you know. So she just wanted to make sure you knew it was her, and she said hello.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so she's not here, and then she's here. You know what I mean? Like she's not
Can
here.
you
And then
see what they look like, or can
No.
you see like they can't see what they look
No,
like?
I think that's where my protection mode steps up and kind of protects me from seeing them.
Okay.
I know that's a terrible thing, but I can only tell you, oh, she had blonde hair, or you know, she had green eyes, that kind of thing. But I can't really see like a full like apparition.
Okay.
You know,
Is
I
she
think
okay?
my mind goes to protection mode because I don't want to see anything.
Is she okay though? Is she like
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. She lets me know that the way things were here are not the way she is now. Okay, but she also shows off her body. She keeps telling me she was a good looker when she was younger. I don't know what that's all about. Anyways, she goes, I was good looking. She shows me her hair, shows me her leg, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, so they just come through to say hello. So now I have a question for the guys, the 2 guys here in the middle of my screen. On the investigations, what do you guys do? How do you fit into this? Because I'm not familiar.
For protection, they're for their bodyguards.
Oh, we're packing heat.
Well,
No,
he's more of an investigator. He's my bodyguard.
Yeah, I investigate with Jenny, and she's pretty much my protector.
Are you
Yeah, I'm like the one chasing off the spirit.
I'm the one that's getting like possessed and things like that, and she's helping me out. So.
Takes off her trunk line, chases him. Huh?
Are you doing all the research or the information to her, or how does that work? Armando.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, I was saying, are you doing the research for your group, or is it just strictly like whatever she's telling? I mean, I'm not really. Are you doing the sensitive part where you're absorbing some of that, or are you doing the research? Or?
I'm actually trying to practice that because I didn't know that I had gifts. I just thought that was just my wife had it, and you know, amazing for her. But then I started figuring out that I am clairaudient as well.
Okay.
I started picking that up. So I've been wanting to like practice that and things like that, and I've been practicing with her, and even like I'll practice and I'll draw something on a paper, and then she's at work, totally far from me. She's like, "Hey, I see a red number 1." And what I did was I wrote the number 1 in red, but she saw it as the number.
This was an actual thing.
Right.
This is an actual example. Yeah.
Totally get it. So you guys are definitely almost like telecommunicating.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's nice. You guys are connected in that way. That's really good, because if she's feeling sick or in any kind of danger, you would pick that up, which is great.
I think so, yeah.
Or vice versa, you know. So
no, we're like that. Like, hey, no, you're off. What's going on?
Right.
Or vice versa, you know, like that happens to me more than her. Right. She's my rock.
Your ability of being a clairaudient, how does that come to you? Do you actually hear it?
I hear it. Yeah.
Okay.
I hear it. And then like recently I started picking up like phantom smells.
Okay. That's another
That's
clair. I
right.
don't know if you're familiar with that. I don't know how familiar you are with the clairs, but that's another clair, like clairaudient, clairvoyant.
Yeah.
There's a smell one. There's a taste one. There's a smell one. There's like 8 of them or 10 of them.
Oh.
That's one of them also. The smell or the taste triggers something. So there's a lot of different ways of being paranormal or psychic or whatever. And you happen to have 2 other ones. Your senses are your ears and your sense of smell.
Yeah.
So, and you probably have more, and you probably could develop that even more.
That's what I'm hoping now. I'm hoping now. And then I also, I would love to get to know who my spirit guides are, my ancestors, because I kind of feel like once I know that might actually help.
But you know who your ancestors are.
Right.
Whether or not you're a guide.
My guides is what I want to know.
Knowing your history helps a lot. Helps you a lot. I would definitely look into that and keep searching. It's very important because it does make up who you are.
Right.
So, and Joey, what about you? How are you connected in your investigations? What do you guys do?
I more or less like piggyback off asking questions, and then I'm more like she said. I'm like bodyguard, looking around, making sure.
So, you guys probably go into locations that aren't exactly,
a lot of them are outdoor. Outdoor.
Yeah.
Investigations are okay, but they're a little more dangerous because you don't know where you're walking into. I know. I've done quite a few, and sometimes you walk into things you don't expect. At least with indoor ones, you're going to somebody's house or whatever. You're there, but ones are a little tough because you got nature to deal with. You can step on a board or step in the water or whatever. But also there's people out there like with hockey masks. So you got to be careful.
Right.
I feel like outdoor ones are more spookier sometimes too because you got the wildlife.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You have nature to deal with. As far as animals. It's like, oh, look, a spirit moose. That's not a spirit moose. It's a real one.
But it's fun, though. It's fun to be that adrenaline. You know what I mean? It gets your adrenaline going. It's fun.
Well, that's not such a bad thing either because your senses are all, on edge. And sometimes you pick things up because of that. We did one of the investigations we did into the house where I was telling you where the person was swearing at me on the whatever. The house was completely no electricity. But when we took photographs, everything was lit up like somebody had brought a torch into the house. It was the craziest thing ever. You could see everything like it was completely lit up. But during the time we were taking the pictures, it was completely dark. There was no light at all whatsoever. So it was pretty interesting. That house in particular had so much energy in it. Well, like I told you, some of it was negative because when I walked out the back door, are you guys familiar with Santeria?
We know of it. Yeah.
When I walked out the back door, there was, I guess, for any sense of word, like a voodoo pulpit, which is a doll. But it was not the kind that had pins in it. It was the kind for protection. So it was made of, natural grass and leaves and stuff. And it was out the back door. And I was like, okay, somebody's obviously trying to protect or keep the spirits in the house. So, from being outside. So. Yeah, that house was pretty spooky. Like I said, I was counting them yesterday and the last year. There was probably like 25 investigations. I was kind of surprised. I didn't realize I had been on so many because I forgot a lot of them, Some of them are in old missions, because we live in California, of course. Some of them are old houses, of course, a lot of houses. But I don't go into every house thinking it's haunted, it's just not always haunted, Sometimes you debunk stuff. That's why I was saying I'm very skeptical. I debunk a lot. Because
you think
at a certain time of the day there's a cross on the wall, and I go, well, it couldn't be the sun coming through that cross over there, could it? So
do you think people could be haunted?
Oh yeah, you mean possessed? More have an attachment? Yes.
But not necessarily has to be evil. That has to be negative.
No. A lot of times you'll say to somebody, your house, you need to get out of the house, or burn sage. They're like, it's not the house, it's me. And it's an attachment. I do. I don't think it's as common as a dwelling, but I do believe that there are people.
Yeah, because I had lunch with some friends yesterday, and she's like, I might need you guys to come over and investigate. And I said, well, they just moved. And I said, well, did the stuff just happen, or has it happened at the old house? And it was happening at the old house. So I think there might be something attached to her or
Very
with
much
her.
so. Another
Yeah.
thing is I go into people's homes like I don't understand it, and I ask them questions like, "Has your kids or have your kids been messing with a Ouija board?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh my god," it's like, "Oh, duh," But that, and then also like another thing is if they're renovating, like tearing something up in the house, tearing the walls down, moving something from point A to point B, that disturbs spirits that do not like that. Okay.
Right.
They will
Right.
know on certain terms to let you know. So there's so much to this. And I know it's kind of like, I don't know how long this program is supposed to be, but I'm looking at the time. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I think we're gonna we're gonna get off.
Yeah,
in
we're gonna
about
wrap it
5
up now.
minutes. Yeah.
Anyways.
I hope I wasn't too boring.
No, we
No.
appreciate you
Not
guys
at all.
coming, or you guys coming on. We appreciate you. It was an honor for you to come on.
Thank you. I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure, because like I said, with the person who's been experienced, not just me, but anybody, they're going to have a ton of stories. And so I was just hoping that today, when you guys got me on this program, that the questions that were asked were pretty cool and that I can answer them. And they were great questions. I mean, really like a lot of stuff that people want to know. And I think that's why we didn't get a lot of questions at the bottom, people asking, because I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have
Very
any questions for us before we log off? I mean,
who wrote Little Women? I don't know.
I don't know.
Not really. I would love to. I wish I was in Florida. I have these guys out here, but I wish I was out where you guys are, so that maybe possibly I can join you on an adventure,
Of course.
But also I want you to know, after this program today, I don't want to ever see you again. No.
You're the worst.
What I want is, when I do readings for people, it's not a one-time shot for me. Everybody becomes my friend. They're acquaintances of mine. I try to keep track of who they are and what they're about. Please consider me that with you guys. If you have questions, it doesn't always have to be on the air. That. Just text me.
Yeah, I know my daughter asked, do you accept new reading requests? If so, how will we contact with?
Okay, I'm 3 to 4 months out as far as in advance. I've got a 3 to 4 month waiting period, but I get cancellations, and because I quit my regular job, I don't know what the hell I'm thinking, but but I quit my regular
You're
job.
all in.
You strong faith.
Yeah, now I have an irregular job, but I quit my regular job, and now this is full time for me. What that did was it allowed me to open up daytime readings as well as evening readings. I was just doing evening readings because I was busy, and now it's like somebody will say, "Hey, can you come out at 10 o'clock in the morning?" Yes. Can you drive over here? Yes. So I'm a little more open. I have a lot more openings than I used to, but I'm still booked 3 to 4 months in advance always. And I'm always accommodating. I try to answer your questions right away. If you need a reading, I try to work out a schedule, because scheduling with everybody working nowadays is so difficult. It's like, I can only do it on a Saturday morning at 6:01. It's like, so.
By the way, Jen, do you do readings for people too? Because I think Jen does. Well, so am I supposed to say it? Sorry.
No, please.
Oh, no.
you
I'm
out
saying
there.
like, no, I don't. I mean, some people have asked me, but
no, absolutely.
So,
you do, just go for it. I'm just saying that this was an opportunity for me. I don't do advertising for myself. I let other people talk for me, thank God. And I feel very blessed. This has been like a real honor for me to be here. And I know
thank you.
a maniac, but this is my chance to kind of throw myself out there.
And I love how you're a talker. Thank you for talking.
Once this is over, though, I want you guys to stay in contact with me if you don't mind. If you have a question about something, if you want to know more information, please. I don't feel weird about that. I'm open. I get calls at 2 a.m. Oh my God, my boyfriend broke me. So
tell everybody where they can find you. I know your Facebook, please.
Where can they find you on social?
I have my own name on social. Of course, my own name, Michael Hanna. But I have a page. I have a page. It's Tarot Readings by Michael. Yeah, real original, I know. Anyways, it's Tarot Readings by Michael. You'll see it there. And if you have any questions, go on there, please. If you need a reading,
you guys. Yeah. Awesome,
yeah, you can either go on to my regular page or you can go on that Tarot Readings by Michael. But plus, they can come through you and ask, if they want. But
Is that like .com?
It was really wonderful for me, and I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we didn't have to deal with the Super Bowl this week, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me, because I was like, oops.
I know, it's like, you don't want to be, because I know we would have probably had higher ratings, but I didn't want to show off.
Should look like that.
No, we love you. Would you be willing to ever join us again one day in the future?
Absolutely. And like I said, you're local peeps. So if you guys want me to be part of our investigation, I would be more than happy to try
I
and make.
do need to have him on. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
And if you
Yeah,
guys,
I will. I'm talking to him right now about a situation. So
right, and
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
I would
I'll
love
wear
to see
different
that.
clothes the next time, so you know it's not the same time. So
okay. Me too. I gotta remember I'm wearing
My
gray.
man.
my hair will be a little bit longer, and it's this one right here will be a little bit longer. So yeah, so I always, it's always a pleasure, and it's always a privilege and an honor to be part of something like this. So thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. For,
Everybody, I
for
think
being
everybody
here with
enjoyed
us.
it. So
Thank
yeah.
you. Well, we'll find out in a few minutes, huh? Anyway, what a schmuck. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and I guess I should just push leave and go back to the green room, right?
No. We'll stay right there.
Stay here. We'll take care of that for you.
Don't move. Freeze.
Freeze. All right, guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed the episode as much as we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joey,
Made us all cry.
tell the good folks where they can find you.
JJ.paranormal on Instagram or here on YouTube, Joy and Joey.
Awesome. And you can find us at 305 Paranormal on Facebook, IG, YouTube, and TikTok.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Join us next Sunday.
Have a good week.
Yes. Till then, be safe.
Ending stream.